Now, speaking of another thing we were right about, at the time, live on Tim Pool, our very first Timcast, was that...
Oh, yeah, Alec Baldwin.
Yes,
Hey,
we said at the time, Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger. I
say,
bet money
like,
he pulled the trigger.
I mean, I like to say it's Captain Obvious level material. The FBI got it right 4 months
For those
after
that
the investigation.
tell people what happened this week, that they now, by the way, this was leaked in the middle of August on a Friday, which Mark Robert pointed out. That's when you have really damaging information that the system doesn't want the world to know about, you wait till a Friday in August to disclose it.
Let me. I got to pull up a tweet actually that it was NBC. The framing. It's unclear why they want to protect Alec Baldwin, but it's clear that they do. So the 4 month. What was it? My goodness! Now it's November. It's like, how many months is it? Yeah, it's a long investigation. They've concluded. The FBI got this right. 6 months later, he pulled the trigger. The gun didn't just spontaneously discharge.
There was no problem with the gun. He pulled the trigger. Forensic evidence, even the FBI that didn't want to concluded that was the only conclusion that could be reached, which means he lied to the world when he said he didn't.
Well, he said,
he said his finger wasn't even on the trigger. He said it was like this. Remember, he pointed his finger was straight, and he went like this. This was never in here. Remember, I would never do that. I would never even point a gun at someone with my hand on.
I would never point a loaded gun. Trigger. But she told me to. The director of photography was telling me what to do with the gun.
Cock it, but not go.
Boop. So everyone should appreciate people. A lot of people have been charged for less. Now the question is this, Robert. I haven't read the FBI report. The conclusion: he pulled the trigger. No horse emoji, poop emoji, Sherlock. My operating theory: he pulled it on purpose, thinking it was a blank gun because he wanted to scare her. He was pissed off. He was impatient. Whatever. What comes now? I mean, can they somehow find a way not to press charges?
Santa Fe says they need to study it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take them a while to review it. The Soros prosecutor in town just, even though it's a clear report, got to reread it, rethink about it, reread it, rethink about it.
Now, I don't know how it works, but is it not the case that a civilian could file a complaint with the authorities to press charges? Like, can there be a civilian complaint based on the FBI report?
The DA controls that exclusively. There's a few places where private citizens can try that sort of thing, but generally speaking, it's exclusively in the DA's power.
If he does not get charged, it is political favors. But the way,
but I mean, it's another version of the Trump raid. It's another version of Bannon's contempt of Congress. It's another version of Alex Jones's trial. It's the circle that's only being applied in one direction. And it's so embarrassing. Even David French had to say, "Oh man, this looks so bad that it's always one-sided." I mean, Hillary Clinton, not president of the United States, while Secretary of State, illegally had actually classified information on her private servers, deleted and destroyed it, perjured herself, and other people perjured their testimony in response to it, faced zero consequence, zero raids, zero subpoenas, zero indictments. And yet, lots of people have been caught up in a much worse activity than even the worst, craziest allegations against Trump. And yet, Trump's facing it. And here you have Alec Baldwin actually killed somebody, pulled the trigger to kill them, and still isn't being prosecuted. By the way, Alec Baldwin, unlike the members of Congress that had their phones seized by the FBI this week, unlike Pennsylvania state legislatures that had their phones seized, unlike key Trump advisors, including his own lawyer that had their phone seized, Alec Baldwin still hasn't produced his phone records in the case.
I'm sure they're all there intact as well. But this is how CBS News framed it. Right? Listen to this pathology. It has been nearly 10 months since actor Alec Baldwin's prop gun was discharged on a New Mexico film set. Now the FBI has completed its forensics investigation and handed the case over to the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. Alec Baldwin's prop gun. They say prop gun, knowing that people are going to think was discharged. The prop gun, it's a real gun. It's a real gun. It just happens to be the property of the set. Was discharged, not he pulled the trigger. And then now the FBI completed its forensic investigation, and they don't mention the conclusion of those findings. I mean, I can't even begin to try to make sense of why. I mean, is he politically connected? Is it just,
Oh yeah. Of course. I mean, he's been one of the Democratic Party's biggest advocates. Made fun of Trump on Saturday Night Live for 4 years. Been one of the harshest Trump critics. That's why he's being protected, and
Oh,
especially in Santa Fe with the Soros prosecutor.
well, we'll see. Well, if he does not get charged, and it's not that lock him up. He deserves to get charged based on equal application of the law.